Let's talk about AI in the workplace. It's really not a matter of if it's going to change things, but how. Today, we're going to look at this new reality for professionals, one where AI isn't just a tool you click on, but a teammate. So the big question is, are you ready for your new Copilot?
Just think about it for a second. That last time you spent a whole afternoon on some soul-crushing task. Drafting a project plan, trying to structure a technical report, or, my favorite, drawing a system diagram. Now, what if you could just get all that time back? Imagine a world where all it takes is a simple idea, a single prompt, to get all that heavy lifting done. It frees you up for the work that really matters.
For the longest time, this was pure science fiction, right? But the thing is, the technology is actually here, and it's being woven into professional workflows as we speak. So how do we separate the hype from what's actually happening on the ground? Well, let's find out.
Okay, so what does this new AI Copilot actually look like in practice? The key thing to understand is that it's not about replacement, it's about partnership. The goal, at least according to the big tech firms, is to augment human intelligence, to handle all that repetitive work so we can focus on strategy, creativity, and, actual critical thinking. So what does this AI Copilot do? Let's dive into some pretty incredible examples of this automation in action. We're talking about complex tasks that used to take days, now being squashed into just a few minutes.
Okay, picture this. You have a high-level idea for a new feature. Now, instead of spending hours in a meeting room with a whiteboard, you just feed that idea to an AI. And in minutes, boom, you get a complete, structured project backlog. I'm talking epics, user stories, subtasks, even the acceptance criteria. It's like turning a brainstorm into a functional project plan almost instantly.
And here's where things get really, really interesting. Forget manually drawing boxes and arrows and some clunky diagramming tool. Now you can just describe your system architecture in plain English. The AI then spits out a professional, precise diagram. And get this, because the diagram is based on text, you can version control it just like code. That is a huge win for keeping documentation up to date.
This new approach solves a problem that has been a nightmare in software development for decades: documentation drift. The old way meant that as soon as you changed the code, the documentation was already out of date. But this AI-powered approach, it creates living documents that can be updated automatically, so what you're reading is actually a true reflection of the system. Amazing.
And hey, these efficiency gains aren't just theoretical. You can actually measure them. A recent survey of technical writers found that just using AI tools for the initial draft saves an average of 3 hours per report. Now add another 2 hours for automated citation management and an hour and a half for advanced grammar checking. You can see how that productivity boost becomes seriously significant, fast.
Okay, but it is not all seamless, perfect automation. This new Copilot is incredibly powerful, for sure, but it has some major blind spots. And it's so important to understand where its capabilities end and where our human expertise has to take over.
So, with all this incredible power to generate text and diagrams and plans, what's the catch? There has to be a catch, right? Where does this technology fall short? Well, the data from professionals who are actually using this stuff tells a really clear story. Over half, 55%, report that a ton of human oversight is still required. Half of them say the AI just struggles to understand specific technical jargon. And a lot of them are worried about the lack of customization, and of course ethical issues like accidental plagiarism.
This quote from a civil engineer just captures the problem perfectly. It's like having a fast but careless assistant. The speed is definitely there, but the care, the context, that deep understanding, it's just not. And all that time you save on drafting, it can easily be wiped out by painstaking verification and corrections.
And here is a perfect, almost funny example of that carelessness. A simple word like container has totally different meanings depending on if you're in software or logistics or maybe just in your kitchen. The AI, because it's trained on the whole internet, can't reliably figure out the right context without you telling it, and that flaw can lead to some pretty serious mistakes in technical documents.
This number really says it all. When technical writers were asked to rate AI's impact on the technical accuracy of their reports, the average score was a pretty mediocre 3.5 out of 5. It's a useful tool, yeah, for grammar and structure, but you absolutely cannot trust it to get the core technical facts right on its own. So the question is, where do we go from here? The solution isn't to just throw the tool away. It's about building a whole new way of working with it, one that's grounded in trust, transparency, and some really clear ethical guidelines.
And this brings us to this super important field of AI ethics. It's really all about creating frameworks to make sure these powerful technologies are developed and used responsibly. Making sure they align with our values and our professional standards.
So what does this look like in the real world? Well, it really comes down to 5 key pillars. We need AI systems that can explain why they made a decision. They need to be fair, they need to be robust, so they don't break under pressure. They have to be transparent in how they work, and of course, they have to rigorously protect our privacy. These aren't just buzzwords, they're the actual requirements for building trust.
And this brings us right back to that central idea we started with. The goal isn't replacement, it's augmentation. The AI Copilot is there to enhance our abilities, to take on the boring stuff, and free us up to do the uniquely human work of critical thinking, strategic planning, and creative problem solving.
So when you put all this together, what's the big picture? It's that AI is driving a really powerful evolution in how we work. But it's not the overnight revolution that maybe some people were expecting.
If you look at the latest academic research, there's a fascinating trend. The most studied uses of AI in software engineering aren't about reinventing the wheel at all. They're about making existing tasks better. Things like automatically summarizing code or generating commit messages. In other words, it's all about enhancement, not disruption.
This quote from a recent academic paper just sums it up perfectly. The changes are real, they're significant, but they're building on our existing workflows. We're getting faster, we're getting more efficient, but the fundamental nature of our work and the absolute need for human expertise, that remains the same.
So, the ultimate takeaway here is this. The future of knowledge work is a partnership. It's a collaboration where our deep domain expertise, our judgment, and our ethical oversight are what we use to guide these incredibly powerful AI tools toward productive and responsible outcomes.
And that really leaves us with one final crucial question. As AI moves from just being a tool on our desktop to being a genuine teammate on our projects, how will we adapt? What are the new skills of curation, of verification, of critical prompting that we're going to need to learn to actually lead this new human-AI partnership? That's the challenge, and honestly, the opportunity that lies right in front of us.